In this take, I want to talk about the Clippers versus the Memphis Grizzlies, give my post-game reaction. Before we get into that, though, please like, subscribe, also hit the notification bell so you get the newest and the bonus content first. We put out content every day, so you won't miss any content here. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this one. You know, I said earlier today in my earlier video, I said this was a trap game for the Clippers, and I meant what I said. The only part I was wrong about, Ja Morant didn't score 40-plus points, but he had a big impact on the game, and it seemed like the Memphis Grizzlies were really getting anything they want. They had 4 players in double figures. Dillon Brooks was one of the players that I highlighted also earlier as a focal point with the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, he put in his double-digit points as well. I think he had 18-plus. And, you know, really, it honestly, from after halftime, I just feel like really Memphis controlled the game. Honestly, you could say they controlled the game. They was in control most of the game. Didn't really feel like, you know, what the Clippers brought was enough energy or the type of energy they needed to win this game. I mean, Paul George ended up with 23 points. You know, Reggie Jackson had 18. Very disappointing outing from those two players who you expect one of them in the number one guy, so-called Paul George, which he is right now, to drop at least 30 points against a team like Memphis. And, you know, you expect Reggie Jackson to be a little bit more, maybe 22, 25 points, somewhere in there. Shout out to Luke Kennard, though. He did have 15 points off the bench. You know, Zubac played pretty decent. Not really noteworthy numbers, but I mean, he played solid, I suppose. But I mean, definitely, here's one of them games I said, you know, when you go on the road, it's different than being at home. The Clippers seemed like they had home games all this season, pretty much. That's what it felt like. But it felt like, you know, at some point, are they going to be able to take that energy and go on the road and, you know, be able to win games, not shooting efficient and not being on their best game, you know what I'm saying, or playing their best on the road. And see, this is why I said you easily will lose games against teams that you really can beat if you don't go out there and play the way you're supposed to. High energy and very efficient from the field, or as efficient as you can from the field. And, you know, don't live by the three-pointer. You see what I'm saying? I said before, that's going to be the death of the Clippers. They live by the threes too much. And, you know, the only thing that really keeps them afloat to me is the fact that they are a top 3-point shooting team in the league. But at the same time, it's almost like a gift and a curse for them. And I've said before, sometimes the Clippers live by the three-pointer so much, it's almost as if they forget how to be aggressive going to the paint and, you know, how to, you know, draw fouls and put the defense on their heels and make them respect them being aggressive driving into the paint. It's almost like the Clippers forget that. Now, they have moments where they drive into the paint just like this game, just like any other game, but it's just not enough. And this is why I said when the Clippers start playing more road games, it might be tougher for them to get a 6-7 game win streak because the crowd is not behind you. You can't just live off of shooting threes and, you know, you hit 2 or 3 shots at home. The crowd is behind you. Now the crowd is in it and the momentum, you know, shifts more in your favor. But on the road, it doesn't work that way. There is no momentum shifting your way because all the momentum's with the home team, and especially a home team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who are a young team who is ascending, and their, you know, potential star in Ja Morant is ascending even more than what people, or even faster than what people might have even expected. And like I said earlier, you know, Memphis, you know, these last couple days, you know, like I said, RIP Young Dolph, you know what I'm saying, the rapper who just got killed in Memphis. Then it was some type of earthquake there, I think today or yesterday or something like that. You know, Memphis kind of needed something to really pick them up as a city, as a unit out there. And, you know, a big win like this against a team like the Clippers is just exactly what the doctor ordered. And this is exactly what happens when the Clippers, you know, sleepwalk into games and don't take teams seriously or don't play the way they play at home. And this is why I said the Clippers are going to have to correct this. You can't go on the road and half-ass and play, you know, like you do at home at times and get away with it. At home, you can get away with a lot of things. Sometimes the referees are on your side. Sometimes, you know, like I said, certain calls go your way. And then then you got the home crowd behind you, and you're in your own comfort zone. You don't have to travel. You don't have to go nowhere. You can drive to the stadium or the arena, and you can go back home to your wife and your kids and your family. It makes it so much more easier that way. But what makes a team really great is when they can channel that same energy and take it on the road and still be a productive team and still handle business the way they're supposed to. And tonight wasn't one of them nights for the Clippers, and I'm definitely not surprised by it, because it's almost as if I predicted how this game could go, and it went exactly that way. They didn't get the production out of Paul George they were supposed to. I think they didn't get as much out of Reggie Jackson. Luke Kennard was the bright and shining point off the bench, but he only had 15, which is really good for him though, with the limited minutes that he does get. And it just wasn't an overall good collective effort from the Clippers, Like I said, it just seemed like Memphis was in control, especially the second half, going to the end of the game, and they pull out the victory. They win by double digits, and the Clippers have to, go back to the drawing board and figure out, the little things, the intangibles. Look at the X's and O's, and look at the missed assignments, the blown assignments on defense, and look at how they let a young team like this toy them, like basically, pull their strings and beat them rather easily. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that the Clippers are going to have to learn from, and it's something that the Clippers are going to have to find a way to, get better at some of their flaws, because their flaws are going to show the more road games they play. A lot of teams' flaws don't show when they're at home. They mainly usually show on the road. And this is one of those games that it showed, and this is one of them games that the Clippers are going to have to make up for, because now it's like, okay, you was on a 7-game win streak. You won one, you lost one. And, it's like, well, it's not the end of the world, of course, because you have a whole lot of a season left. But at the same time, every win counts, because, you're shorthanded. And when you're shorthanded, your superstar is not there in Kawhi. And, Serge Ibaka is in the G League and hasn't got his footing under him yet, and you got a lot of, good young pieces from last season, but that's last year. This year is a whole different situation. And now you have to do this without your leader in Kawhi Leonard. And, a lot of people are banking on Paul George to be the leader that they need to get them or keep them afloat until Kawhi comes back. But when you look at games like these, where honestly, the Clippers are the better team and had the better team and had the better superstar on the floor in Paul George versus Ja Morant, and you come out, looking the way you did, and you don't find a way to get a victory like this because you're not at home and you don't have the home crowd behind you. Now you're on the road, and now you're not playing up to the level of expectation that you were at home. It makes it look like a Jekyll and Hyde team. It makes it look like that's who they're going to be. Because like I said, the road only gets tougher from here. It doesn't get easier. The Clippers had a very good, favorable schedule the first week or two of the season. Now it's going to start getting tougher. And these games are going to be, and every game you lose, it counts even more. It's magnified times 10, because you're lessening your chances of getting to the playoffs. And, the fact that you're shorthanded, every win counts, because it's like when you start playing the premier teams like the Bulls, or maybe even the Lakers or the Bucks, or, maybe the Nets when they really get healthy, and all these other teams, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble, because the flaws that you have, they're being exposed by the teams who are playing 500 basketball or less. And that's just not good for the Clippers. And that's just not something that they need to, that's not something they need to implement in their diet. They need to try to find a way to make things better. But hey, shout out to, Ja Morant and the crew. They pulled it off the victory. I can't say I'm surprised, but at the same time, I definitely, I think the Clippers could have played better, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. They didn't. They lost. Shout out to the Clippers too for putting in the effort. But at the same time, you got to put in more effort. You got to be more efficient, and you got to be more aggressive. And that's the motto, and that's the MO. And if the Clippers want to be a formidable playoff type team, they're going to have to carry that. They're going to have to endure that, and they're going to have to remember that going into every game, whether it's at home or away, no matter who the opponent is. But hey, that's my take on the situation. Leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And Khaliis out.